I wanted to show you something that I'm going to try this year. You know, got the idea obviously from Mark Zagger out of New York, who does the Pipe Dream set. If you've ever been to a convention where Mark has done a demo, or even just read his website or watched a video, he came up with something called the Pipe Dream set. And one of the components of the Pipe Dream set is PVC pipe. So what I did is I cut mine off about 1 foot long to the top of the 45, and then I drilled a hole about 4 inches down from the top. This is 3/4 inch PVC. So the Pipe Dream set proper that Mark Zagger, you know, is famous for kind of coming up with is a system. It's not just a pipe. If you just drive this down to the ground and use it as a bait and lure holder like I'm going to do, it's not really a Pipe Dream set. He's got a whole system where he, you know, beds the trap in a certain way, digs out and leaves a void under the trap, so any water or anything that enters the top of the trap can just kind of work its way down through and not interfere with the trap. He covers them with haylage and not dirt, so that, you know, he really doesn't have any freeze down problems. You know, when he traps in New York State, which is a very freeze-thaw, you know, rain, so I can definitely see why coming up with something that would keep him more freeze-proof than normal dirt hole sets, you know, was the top priority. And I think his system is probably one of the best out there that I've seen for freeze-proofing just overall. But I'm using wax sand. You know, I've got my own kind of freeze-proof methods, so I'm going to continue to use those. But, you know, and looking at Mark Zagger's use of PVC pipe, as well as other trappers who are doing more along the lines of what I plan to do, I think it's a good bait and lure holder. It has some attraction with the color, and with this hole, you know, as long as you keep that hole above the ground level, you're going to get airflow up and down this pipe, which I think is going to kind of, you know, amplify the amount of scent that you're putting out there. So my plan is just to drive these into the ground, you know, at an angle, in a tuft of grass or something that's going to cover the majority of it. You know, maybe leave an inch and a half exposed high so that you could see that, but leave this hole exposed at the bottom so that I get that smell amplifying effect. So anyway, we're going to give that a try. So you may see some of that on some of the sets that I make as the season gets here. And one thing I wanted to show too, for maybe younger trappers or, you know, folks that are just thinking about doing this, the way that you want to make the cuts whenever you're cutting this up. So you can get this at any you know, hardware store, basically. Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that. You can get 3/4 inch PVC. It's very cheap. You can get it in, I think, 4-foot lengths and 8-foot lengths. But in order to maximize the number of these that you're going to get out of a particular piece of PVC, you know, you want to make your cuts a certain way. So whenever you get the piece, it's obviously going to be squared off at both ends. You want to measure down from the squared end and cut a 45. Okay, and that's going to give you your first piece. That 45 is then going to be the bottom of the second piece, so you're going to cut off flush or flat the second piece, and that gives you piece number 2, right? And then come down, cut a 45. This becomes your flat end and your bottom end, and then this is the bottom end of the next one, and a flush at the other end. So just, you know, for guys that maybe are new or younger trappers, just wanted to make sure everybody understands as you're cutting these. It's pretty simple, but some people, you know, may not have thought of that. So as you're cutting it, to get the maximum amount of tubes out of one length, you know, make sure you do that 45 and flat, 45 and flat, all the way down the piece. So there you go. Thanks.